What's going on, guys? It's your boy Cesso here with a video here today, bringing guys a fun Photoshop tutorial. Create your very own cool, I'm going to be calling like simple esports header. So basically the premise of the video is kind of just going over this really cool simple theme that you guys can go for, whether you're like a startup org or a designer who just really doesn't know about kind of esports, just kind of like what the meta is, I guess you would say, in that kind of sense, and just get yourselves a nice little clean header, whether you're a player or something like that, you want to look the part kind of thing. I mean, it happens, right? Of course you want to like look how you want to be, and like a cool little esport header might actually help out for you guys. And it's really simple, honestly. It's just sort of using gradients, very simple sort of typography work, and going like with some very cool smoke, which is kind of like a thing that people like to do as well. I actually don't really work with smoke very much, but I mean, it's a really cool little thing to do when it comes to esports, make it look dramatic and all that good stuff. So yeah, with that being said, 200 likes on the video. Actually, no, as you guys know, 275 likes on the video equals a secret down below. As always, there's most likely be some kind of cool assets to also put you guys in with this little asset thing I'm going to be bringing out too. So you're not going to get this or that, really. You just really, I'll probably give you the picture, why not? But just basically going to give you guys a smoke texture here, right? The background that I'm using, these backgrounds that I'm using, and the other smoke texture I'm using as well. That way you guys have everything and all good to go. And yes, I am on a different angle. It's because I now have like 3 monitors now. And also probably like the quality is pretty different. I have no idea. Like, I hope it's good. Let's just see. All right, let's just get this thing going. All right, homies, let's go and get this thing going right here, right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut off, or just turn this off for a second, and I'm going to throw in our background images. So for your background, you basically want to use whatever game you're going to be using. So for me, I'm using League of Legends. So I basically have Braum and Pyke as my little pictures here. Whether you're using CSGO, Rocket League, Call of Duty, anything in the universe, whatever game you're using, just have that be your background, because as an esport player or an esport, I guess, organization, whatever you guys are doing, whatever games, maybe like if it's for an esport organization and it's like for your main esport organization like header or something like that, you can just have all the games that you guys play. Yeah, just make sure you guys get good enough images for it. So for me, I have 2 different images, and also, if you guys want to know, I am in a Twitter header dimension size, which means I am in a 3000 by 1000 300 resolution good old image, as you guys pretty much know by now. Hopefully, I'm gonna take these pictures and make them a little bigger. By the way, when I did update my Photoshop this time, I did not revert, or how do you say, like, keep legacy transformation settings, because I'm so used to it on my other computer in my office, and I'm just like, I'm not going to revert it this time, so I'm not holding shift anymore. So there you go, like a little update. It's like kind of like a weird thing to say on my channel. Okay, so as you can see right here, if you were to be like look at this, you would be like, okay, these are obviously 2, or excuse me, 1 simple picture, right? No, obviously I saw it's 2 different pictures, and I would say if you guys are going to be taking whatever objects from like a cool different game, let me actually get another game in here. I'm going to go like Rocket League. All right, so let's just go, just kind of say if I wanted to have Rocket League and these 2 different pictures in here, the way you guys want to kind of have this really cool seamless cutout, as you guys can see here, right? Because originally, of course, this Pyke picture looked like this, where I kind of cut it out so that it kind of looks like seamless like this, right? A lot of you guys usually just kind of use it like this, where you guys kind of like pen tool it off in like a little simple, like a diagonal line, which is fine and all, but I think there's a really cool seamless way that you can do it that makes it just look enhanced, like 5 times better. So right, let's just say you want to take this, you would basically want to find a top of an object and basically the bottom of an object. So for me, I would say right here could be a pretty good top, and right here could be a pretty good bottom. So I'm going to end up doing is just taking this, kind of Control T, free transform it, and make it big, just enough so I can say, okay, I can then pen tool this right here, right? Let's just like do it really quick. I'm not going to do it perfectly just to show you, I just want to show you guys, right? I'm not going to do it super perfect, but let's just say that you pen tool this super perfectly, right around this, and then you go over the left hand side, you connect it, you right click, make selection, right? And then you just press delete on your keyboard, right? And then you can just see this picture will be down here, the Pyke picture will be right here, and it'll be more seamless rather than just having a cut. So if you guys want to do that, I would recommend you guys do that. Just want to quickly give you guys a little quick little thing about demonstration about that, right? So okay, now that you have your 2 pictures, I'm going to go ahead and also add in my player. In this case, it's Afromu. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take these 2 things. I don't need them anymore. Now, when it comes to cutting people out, I have like a whole bunch of different versions, right? I use a lot of the time select subject, because sometimes I have to do things really fast. I don't have time to pen tool things out. Of course, pen tooling is always going to be like key number 1. If you have the time to do it, always do it. But I just want to show you guys a really quick version, right? Just so I don't have to pen tool. So depending if the photographer, this is about so I'm looking at you photographers, if you guys didn't do a good job, we're gonna be upset, right? The reason being is because if you guys use the marquee selection tool or quick selection tool and magic wand tool, basically this little group selection right here, and you guys have quick selection tool selected, I don't think it matters actually. It does matter. No, it doesn't matter. So one of these little wands, right, and you select, you press select object, okay, you'll see that it selects the object that's in focus. So whether or not, if your cameraman sucks, that's unfortunate. Mine usually doesn't. Thank you, Logan, and everybody else. Right? You can do this really cool simple selection, and you just see, simply see that right here, I don't know if you can see right here, right, it has a plus button, which means if I go over, it'll then add the plus button or add the selection back, right? And if I hold Alt, it changes my plus button to a minus, right? You can see the plus, now this is minus, plus, and now this is minus, right? So you can just go over here, say minus, and I want to get rid of this selection over here and get it nice and close and tight to the actual player. Okay, this is what I do a lot of the times. I would say maybe like 40% of the time, I kind of do the little quick selection because sometimes I got to do things really fast, like I said before, right? And it's just a nice little way to kind of like cut things out pretty quickly. So once you guys finish kind of selecting it and getting as close as possible, what I simply like to do is if I had this deleted, this layer mask, right? I would simply just press over here, which is the layer mask that you just saw me delete. If I just quickly add it, it'll then cut everything out for me really quickly, and you guys have something left with this. Right? Now, most of the time, you're going to find little objects and spaces and or areas where it's too messy in a way, right? So, like right here, it's messy. Right here, it's not too cleaned up. You simply just take your brush, right? I would just use a nice little simple, like 100% hardness brush, a pretty good size, whatever size you kind of need. I would say right now I need about 11, right? And then black erases, right? When you're selecting on this mask, you see if I just select off, it changes my colors. If I just had whatever colors, right? If I select my mask, it changes to black and white. You can see over here. Right? Now, once I do that, when I use a black brush, it'll basically erase. When I use a white brush, I can just take this little arrow here to change them. It'll then fill it back in. So what you basically have to do is you just simply go ahead, change it to black, and you go around here. Now, this is like I said, for quick usage, you can just take it, right, and kind of fix it just as much as you need it, right? If you got to fill it back in, you press X to switch your colors really quickly, right? And then you can fill it back in if you need to. The ear needs to be cut off a little bit more. Yada, yada, yada kind of thing. Obviously, I'm not going to do it again, but you're going to get a lot of areas like this in their jerseys. What I like to do is kind of like fill in around the area, and then I can just take my eraser again with my brush. Excuse me, not my eraser, my brush, my black brush, and kind of go over it just like so, just so I can get it back filled in correctly. And for me, that's a little bit quicker than penciling sometimes, if the subject's a little bit complicated, but regardless, I think it's a pretty good spot to meet. Now, also I want to add as well, let's just say when you guys are done with your mask, make a duplicate copy, okay? So it's Control-J for a duplicate. And I would just simply right-click and convert it into a smart object, once again, and then right-click, rasterize a layer, which makes it a clean layer, all good to go. And what you would like to do is go to layer, matting, defringe, 1 pixel, press OK, and you'll see if I press Control-Z, and then Control-Shift-Z, which goes forward, you can see what it basically does. It doesn't, for some reason, I'm doing it. But you see right here, little white little spots, kind of like, I guess almost like a failed masking kind of thing. If I go to matting, defringe 1, you can see it kind of goes away a little bit, and you have less, like, simple, small erases you have to do, right? For me, that's pretty cool, and just something you guys to know. And also, when you guys do color correction, what I like to do is right-click, convert to smart object once you guys finish defringing it, right? Go to filter, camera raw filter, and basically what I like to do is simply just add, right, a little bit of clarity. I'd say about 25 or so, and I'll take my vibrance, lower it down a little bit, press OK, and that's how you basically get from this to this. Very simple. So now I'm gonna take my finished copy that I did and a little more time on, take it and throw it in my actual esports header. Okay? So I know that was like super long, but I promise you, when it comes to like, you should know how to cut things out really quickly if you guys need to, and you should also know about camera raw filter. Good, we're good to go. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and do is have this is my player, so I'm gonna take this, make sure I call this my player. Okay, I'm gonna take a new layer, not a new layer. I'm gonna click on my pike layer, which is my background layer. Okay, and then use my adjustments and go to gradient map. And with this gradient map, I'm going to be usually putting on a nice little sort of gray to black kind of ratio gradient. So on the left-hand side, I have my gradient map being pure black, right? Press OK. And on my right-hand side, I have a nice little gray. Now, of course, if you want the background to be darker, I would then just go ahead and just take this and just move it more further down. However, I think if you get too dark, you kind of lose it a little bit. And I also do have a little bit of a blue hue to mine, which means I have it more towards the right and not completely over to the left, which hex code is 5A5C60. So press OK again, and that's my simple little gradient that I have here. Now, if you want things to come out a little bit more in the sense of detail or lightness or whatever, or brightness, excuse me, you can then go to camera raw filter again on your background. Right now I clicked on my pike layer, right? And if you want to, you can just take your clarity and just throw this up. You can take your highlights, throw this up as well, and you can press OK. You can see how much kind of happens, right? But if you don't want that, you don't have to have it on. I actually have what I had before off. If I turn this off for a second, kind of have this little, I did the same thing right here. You can see how that difference is. Now, if you guys want it, you can have it. If you guys see like around his little shoulder part, it's very, the highlights kind of push out a lot. Then you can go ahead and go back into your camera raw filter, right? And then lower your highlights down, right? That gets rid of that sort of like too much brightness that's going on. So keep this in mind when you're coming with your gameplay photos. You guys are gonna definitely run into that issue. And the reason why I'm explaining it is because those issues are kind of important and kind of ruins the design a little bit, just so you guys know, okay? So next is of course putting the player's name in. I'm gonna put in Afro Moo, right? Just like so. Make sure this is above the gradient layer. Just push it up, okay? Okay, there we go. Make this a little more bigger. Now, when it comes to, of course, like subtext, I would like to put in what the player does. So I would say like League of Legends support player, right? Or player, I think something like that is pretty good. Like, or if it's like Rocket League, whatever the heck positions there are, something like that, right? So people understand like the little simple little context of who this person might be, if they don't know already, right? Legends support player, make it a little more smaller. Okay, I'm also gonna take my characters table, which is under window, okay? Character, that'll open that up for you guys if you guys never seen it before. You see this VA here, you can take it, click on it, move it towards the right, and it splits your letters. Gives space in between each letter. Kind of makes it look kind of cinematic and cool. Let's do that just like so. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take the nice little logo design, which is right here, the 100T logo, whatever team you're using, whether it's your team or not, put that logo right here as well in the middle, okay? And then also, lastly, I guess you would say if you guys have sponsors, right? Now, if you don't have sponsors, whether if it's for a personal person, you can put social media. Like that's what I'd actually rather put down here, but also sponsors as well. But if you want to put social media as well, maybe even kind of take out the subtext right here and then put social media kind of stuff. I didn't even think of that until just now, so that's what I would probably end up doing, right? I'm gonna take this, center it with all four, right? Not just the name. I'm gonna center it with all four of the little group that I just selected, right? Which is the logo, the subtext, the main logo, and the sponsors, right? If you center it with just the actual name, they're gonna look like this, and then everything is gonna be very top heavy and awkward. So that's why I would say make sure you guys center it with all things selected, right? Now I think this is pretty good, right? Okay, I'm a fan, right? I'm gonna take I also like putting in the main text almost like a secondary color. So I'm gonna put this little bit of a gray in, right? Nice little gray to kind of switch it up just a little bit, add a little more texture, variety to it, right? That looks pretty good. So what I'd like to do as well is what I did over here was just let's go ahead and do this, go over here. This background little thing I did, just the name of the nice little simple background kind of way to kind of just fade it in a little bit, add a little more space in there, or a little bit filling space in there. So I just take the name, right? Control click on it. By the way, if you didn't know already, if you guys use the move tool and you hold control and you select the different things on your canvas, you can simply select things really fast, which also makes sure you have your layer selected, not group selected, okay? Right? So I'm gonna take my Afro Moo text, Control J, so I'm gonna take this copy, right? Put it below my Afro Moo text, main text that I already had, make it bigger, okay? As big as you guys would like, and I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this is pure white. So I'm gonna go to my characters, color, pure white, and then I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I lower my opacity down just a bit as well. Okay, now I'm also gonna add a layer mask to it, as you guys know already. That's what the whole black and white erasing thing is. So I'm gonna take my black brush, use a 0 hardness, right? Or 1 hardness, whatever, 0 hardness, just like that, right? And I'm just gonna click and erase it on that side over there. And I'm also gonna go ahead and just take my eraser, click on the left-hand side, right? Hold shift and click on the right-hand side, and that makes a straight line where you basically selected before, and makes it a nice little clean, seamless, I guess you'd say almost like transition, like a gradient transition, right? And if you guys want to erase a little bit more, you guys definitely can in some areas, okay? Now, once you guys have done that with your Afro Moo text here, I'm gonna make another duplicate of this new text that we just kind of made just now in the background, right? And I'm gonna fill this back in. So basically the black that I have here is gonna be filled back in by just pressing Control backspace. Control backspace is, by the way, the quick fill for your foreground color. So since they're already gonna be black and white, if you press Control backspace, it'll fill in the white, of course. Now with that, you take your fill and you lower it down to 0, okay? Then you wanna double click on this new copy that you just made, and then you filled it back in. put a stroke on it. 2-stroke is pretty good, right? And I'm gonna go ahead, take my opacity, put this back up to about 100%, right? And I'm gonna right click, convert it to smart object once you guys are done with everything. And then once again, then add in your layer mask again. And then this time, besides pressing Control backspace, you can press Alt backspace, which quick fills black. Now, if you guys really want, you can take your eraser or your brush and just fill in black. That's also is fine as well. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and get pretty close with a white brush and just kind of fill in some of these little areas where I can put this nice little simple, you know, little background thing, right? You know, these are little small touches. This is kind of like a my kind of thing when it comes to like what I would kind of do kind of thing. Not something you have to do, but kind of adds a really cool simple texture to it. A little minuscule detail that someone can like and enjoy. And I'm also going to go ahead and go by opacity, as you guys just saw, and lower it down about 40% or so, just so I can say, I like how that looks, right? Okay. Now, last but not least is basically the hardest part, I guess you'd say, which is then blending all these little simple smokes. Okay, now when it comes to this, I'm not the best at it. I'm pretty sure there's probably an even different or better method. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my player pretty good size. I'm going to go ahead and go to my assets here. You guys will have this, by the way. It's in the description down below. And I'm going to smoke. I'm going to take this first one here, and I'm going to then go ahead and put this. Let me also make sure this is recording, because I actually have no idea. Because I'm using something different. I'm using OBS this time, if you guys don't know. Okay? Right? Take this first smoke texture, put it over here. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and just say right above the player, this has been my first one. Okay, we're going to take it. I'm going to also take my eraser now. Now, if you guys want to use layer masks as well, I would actually prefer you guys to use layer masks. I'm going to do that instead. Take your layer mask. Of course, this is, again, the whole black and white erase and fill in thing. So you can take your brush. Your black brush will erase. And you can just take it. Make your opacity not 100%, but 80. This will make it so that it doesn't erase fully, but it erases just enough, 80%. And kind of gives you a little more leeway of like kind of giving a little more of a smoke kind of vibe. So if I click once, it's not 100%. If I click again, that's 100%, right? So I'm gonna click just around right there so I don't get too washed out already, because I want to add, you know, 3 or 4 more smokes. So after I add my first one, right, I'm gonna add another one, which is gonna be the second version of the smoke, which is this V2 version. A more of a smoky kind of feel. The first was kind of like more of an atmospheric kind of thing, right? I'm gonna take this one and kind of put it right in front of him, and this is where you kind of get more of this little faded, you know, dramatic look to it, almost like a dramatic lighting kind of thing. Now, on this version 2 smoke, I'm already gonna have it on for you, but I have a gradient on it, right? Usually it's gonna be pure white, which is a little bit too blinding. If I put this gradient on it, which is simply, right, a simple gray, okay, to a simple lighter gray, I guess you would call it, right? Which is not pure white, but just a little bit of a more of a gray tone, darker scale, right? So it's not pure white, but it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good, right? So, excuse me, I'm going to take my V2 smoke. So I have this one and this one, right? Take one of this V2 smoke, right? Hold Alt, click on it, and drag it below my player, which should be right here, right? I'm going to take it, put it behind my player. So the thing you want to do is definitely like mess around with like foreground, then me, and then you see my chair will be the background. Kind of like think about it like that when it comes to adding smoke. So you can go ahead and do is then I'll say, okay, I'm going to add this one there. I'm going to say, make another duplicate of this one by holding Alt again, dragging it and letting go. You can see it makes a duplicate again. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off my gradient overlay. And I'm going to press Control U on my keyboard and make this black by going all the way down to -100 lightness. And Control U brings up this table, right? And take this black, put it behind here as well. I can even go ahead and put it above the player as well. So holding Alt, right? Make another copy, putting it in front of the player, taking my brush with my layer mask and kind of getting in there and erasing a little bit. This is just adding a little more texture, and I would say 3 or 4 more times, or 3 or 4 copies of it is pretty good. And I'm gonna say I have about the 4th copy right now. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm done. Now I'm gonna add one more thing. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my Smoke V2 original, where I didn't erase anything, right? Take it, hold Alt, bring it below my player, and I'm gonna put it on top of all the other smokes. Oops, that was my phone, my bad. Let me turn this on mute. I'm gonna go ahead, right? I'm gonna take it, go into my effects, my gradient overlay, and I'm gonna change this gradient overlay to whatever color light you guys choose, right? So I'm gonna use a black to red. So it's gonna be pure black on the left-hand side, and I'm gonna go with a red that's more of a higher contrast, by the way. So more of a higher pigment, so kind of going all the way up to the top right. And this is where you can change the color, of course, if you want to make it blue, purple, whatever. I'm going to go, of course, red, because of the 100 Thieves logo, right? So think about it like that. Whatever your color is, maybe it's like an orange logo, go with an orange smoke. There you go. Okay, press OK. Press OK again, right? Press OK again. I'm going to go ahead and put that thing right around there. Now, the other smoke that's behind it, right, which is this one right here, I'm going to go into it, and I'm going to delete it a little bit. right? So I can, the other smoke that's behind it can kind of come out a little bit more, right? So I can take it. So that's pretty good. Now, if you want it to be a little bit more pigment, I guess you would say, since it is a smoke texture, simply just press Control J on your keyboard to make a copy of that same one, and then you can go like over here, back to your layer mask, and erase it again in a little simple area, so that little parts kind of like almost pop out as a little bit more brighter, and kind of has a better vibe to it, in my opinion, right? And I would say it's looking pretty okay to me. I would go ahead and maybe add like one more like V2 smoke right in front of the player, right, and kind of add it like on the left hand side more. Take your eraser and like erase it a little bit, kind of make it splotchy, right? And I would say that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So now to finalize this thing and kind of like make it as clean as possible, I'm gonna go ahead and take my first layer, right? Not excluding this one. This is not gonna be there for you, of course, right? Take my first top layer, holding Shift, going all the way down to even my background. Okay. So click on the background layer. That'll select everything in between it. I'm going to press Control J on my keyboard to make a duplicate of it. Now, if you have a lot of smart objects, you'll see I'm loading right now. So, of course, if you have a lot more than me, you have more pictures, it might take a little bit longer, so don't really worry about it. And then press Control E on your keyboard to then merge it all together, and you're good to go. So you have this simple layer with everything in it. So what I'm going to do with this layer here is I'm going to go to Filter, Sharpen, and I'm going to basically use Sharpen Edges, go to Filter, Sharpen, and use basically then just Sharpen, okay? And then I'm going to go to Filter, where is it? Noise, Add Noise, and we're going to be adding 2% noise. If I kind of zoom in a little bit more, you can see the preview a little bit. I don't know if you can actually tell. I'm going to press OK, though. Okay, you can see it adds a little bit of noise. I'm going to press Control-Alt-Z. You can see it right before, after, before, after. This is kind of adding a nice little noise texture to it, right? More of like an ambience kind of thing. So with this one, I'm going to use a layer mask again, which is going to be how we erase, right? I'm going to take my brush and basically erase, so you can see it like definitely right here. If I take my black brush, which is erasing right now, right, you can see it gets rid of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just basically kind of erase pretty much everywhere, right? So you can see over here, oops, if this is not pure black, you would notice, okay? Oh, this is the opacity. I gotta change my opacity. Make sure you change your opacity back to 100%, okay? Right? And I'm gonna go to white. So, or you can also do alt backspace, which is quick fill. Remember that? So I'm gonna take my white brush, okay? Now with this white brush, I'm gonna basically be clicking and adding noise only basically where the smoke is, right? Right here, a little bit over here, right? A little bit over here. And then I would say that's pretty good. I'm gonna add just like a splotchy hit there, a splotchy hit over here. Just adds a little bit of like a little bit of feel to it. Now I'm gonna do the same thing once again, holding a hold Shift thing, and always to the back. Excuse me, top holding Shift to the layer. There we go. And then the bottom one holding Shift as well, select everything in between, Control J to make a duplicate, and then Control E to merge it all together. So we're gonna have another copy with now with all that little simple noise in there. And we're gonna go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're gonna be using a 1.5 pixels Gaussian Blur. We're gonna press OK, and then we're gonna add a layer mask once again, which is how we're gonna erase. And we're gonna take our brush. Now the first is gonna be 100% opacity. Click on the left hand side. I would say about like third of the way, like the third, like this, let's see, like 1, 2, 3. So about a third of the way of the canvas, right? Clicking on it once with the white brush is going to be erasing. Oh, excuse me. Black brush is going to be erasing. Click on it, hold Shift, click on it again. If you want to erase a little bit further down, you can just simply just take your mouse and just kind of like go over it very lightly. Also, pretty much immediately erase over where the sponsors are as well. Okay. And now take your brush again, take your opacity, or excuse me, your opacity, and you change it to about, I would say 60%. Okay. And then you would take this, click right around the second third of this, so the half, I guess you would say. Click your black eraser, click on the left hand side, hold Shift, click on the right hand side, and this will basically erase it very like in like almost like a gradient way. And it kind of leaves the bottom right here very noisy and very blurry, which adds to that dramatic effect, which then makes it look pretty freaking elite when it comes to that nice little smoke, and just adds that nice little feel to it. So once you guys are done with that, you can then add whatever assets, fun, textures you guys would like to. I'm gonna keep mine fairly clean. Of course, you can even go back and, oops, I hit my mic. Even go back before I added this kind of stuff, and you want to say you want to change the color of the background, just simply by doing that, just using the gradient map, changing your secondary color on the right-hand side to a different color, right? I mean, you can do that, all that kind of stuff. Have fun with it, explore it. This is more like a bare bones based version of how you guys basically get started and making for, your own esports company, whether it's like, I don't know, like Dragon something, right? Whatever, like Dragon Esports, right? Take something from your logo, from your brand, and put it into the header. So you think Dragon, maybe make fire. Like maybe you have cool fire textures going on, and then that's your branding, right? You always have fire going on. So think of something like that when it comes to those esports headers. Always make sure you guys add the name. Make sure always, of course, maybe highlight the player, right? Which of course is the name, also their social medias, all that good stuff. And you're on your way to a nice, successful esports header, right? So hope you guys do enjoy my video here today. I'll talk to you guys later. Cecil HQ out. Do not forget to keep smiling, stay positive, and stay freaking productive, guys. Later. Much love, and I hope you enjoy your day. Love you.